Okay, in this recording I'm going to show you some of the controls for Stellarium. One of the first things that you should probably do though is check and make sure that your date and time is properly set on your computer. That's necessary. You need to make sure that you're in the right time zone that you're currently in. Otherwise the times are going to be off when you start up Stellarium. So let's go ahead and start up Stellarium, and this is what it looks like. Depending upon what time of day it is when you start and what the positions of the moon and the sun are when you start, you may see the moon. You can see the moon over here in the upper right hand corner of my window. You can see that there's this S in the middle of the screen. That means we're pointing south, and the sky is blue because it's about 1:20 in the afternoon whenever I'm recording this. If you start Stellarium and it's nighttime, you're probably going to see the stars, the ground's going to be dark, and things like that. But let me show you a few things about the controls. First of all, you can see my mouse cursor moving around here. If you left click and drag, you can drag the position of what you're able to see up and down, left and right. We're facing south there, so if I come over here and I drag around like that, you can see now we're facing west. Here's the W for west. Drag it on around, and there's north. Let's go back over here. There's east. And if I continue on back to south, this is where we started. The sun is up in the sky, but you notice we didn't see it. It's kind of high right now. And there's the sun, just like that. Okay, so let's go back here. And let's look at a few of the things that we have control over here. If you go down to the bottom, you'll notice there's a little menu that raises up, and then it disappears whenever you go off of it. That. One of the things on this bottom menu is called FOV, and you see FOV is currently 60 degrees on my screen. FOV stands for field of view, and it's something that you can change. You can think of it as a zoom in and a zoom out. So if I hit the control button and the up or down arrows, you notice I can zoom in and I can zoom out. And that may be useful to you later on whenever you need to closely inspect something. The center mouse wheel on a mouse that has a scroll wheel, that will also do the same thing. You'll also notice down here there's the date and time. It's right below my mouse cursor here. I'm not going to get on that because it'll pop up again. But you can see the date and you can see the time. And the time is continuing at a rate of 1 second per second, which is the normal rate of time. And then over here you can see there is a location, and it says that we're in Tyler, we're on Earth, Tyler, and 182 meters. That 182 meters is the altitude of Tyler. Those little menus keep popping up, and sometimes they become annoying. There's a way to lock those open. You can click these little triangles here, and that will lock those open, and then you don't have to worry about them popping in and out. So let's look at the left-hand menu first, because we need to set up a few things here. The left-hand menu contains, let's see, the location window, the DateTime window, the sky and viewing options window, the search window, the configuration window, and then the help window. Let's start at the top and work our way down. The location window, this is something that you're going to need to set, so let me show you. I click it and the location window pops up. And I currently have my location set for Tyler, Texas. Now you can see that over here. There's a little arrow that the tip of it is pointing right to where I should be on the planet. Now the default is, whenever you start Stellarium, is probably Paris, Paris, France. And you need to change it to your location. And to change it to Tyler, you go over here to the search and you type in Tyler, T-I-L-E-R. Now, Tyler happens to be in my list here. And if it's in your list, then you can click on it, double click on it, and the latitude, longitude, altitude will be populated down here. The name of the city will pop up here. If it's not in your list, then what you need to do is you need to add it to your list. And what you can do is freeze the screen right now, pause, and write down these latitude, longitude, and altitude values. Then type in the city name of Tyler in the United States, planet Earth, and then click Add to List. And when you do that, Tyler will be added to the list, and you can always find it then. Additionally, please do this because we will use Tyler quite often throughout this course. set it as the default. So click that box to use it as a default. Now you've got the location set. There is no save button. You just click the X and you're out of it. And you should see on yours that Earth Tyler 182 meters is right down here at the bottom. Okay, if it doesn't appear, then something bad happened. Go back and try it again because you need to make sure that it's there. And then the next time you quit and restart Stellarium, it should be the same location if you checked use it as a default. Okay, the next thing we want to look at is the date time window here. You can see year, month, day appears along with hours, minutes, and seconds. And you'll notice it's counting up at 1 second per second. So you can change the time. Let's see, if I wanted to advance time 1 hour, I could click that, and you notice the moon moved. That's because it advanced 1 hour. I can keep going, 70, 18, 19, 20. So this is like 8 o'clock at night right now, and you'll notice the stars are out. So let's go back to where we were, and we were back at 13:25. I can advance time, I can advance the day, I can advance the year, all by changing those things right there, and that may be necessary for you. Also, I want you to notice that down here in this bottom menu, right over here on the right hand side, right to the left of the exit, that button right there is the quit button, so don't hit that one. But over here we have decrease time. That one is set time to normal rate. This one is set time to now, and this one is make time go faster, so to increase time speed. So what I want you to notice is that that is the J button. The shortcut key for that is J. This one is K, and then the next one over here, the increase, is L. So the J, K, and L buttons, you probably want to use the shortcut keys to do this. But let me show you what happens here. I need to click off of the date time, and whenever I do that, the date time window stays up, but it's ghosted out, so you can tell that I don't have it selected. I'm going to hit the L, and notice what's happening there. Time is increasing, but it's increasing faster than it was before. I'm going to hit the L one more time, and you notice it's sped up even more. And in fact, look at the moon. You can notice the moon is moving now. Okay, I'm going to hit it one more time, and now time is really moving forward. I'm already into 14, 15 hours, 16, that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 17, that's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If I hit it one more time, it's going to speed up even more. There's 18, it's going to be getting dark here pretty soon. 19, that's 7 p.m. And now we're at 8 in the 8 o'clock hour. Okay, I'm going to hit it one more time and watch what happens. Boom, going really fast. And now the sun is rising and it's already the next day. Now here's what I did. I just hit the K button, and when I hit the K button, time returned back to the normal pace. You notice it's still advancing at a rate of 1 second per second. And if I hit the K button one more time, it pauses time. So I've stopped the advancement of time. That may be necessary at some points throughout the course so that you can get a good reading on something you don't want it to be changing. And the default is that it goes forward at a rate of 1 second per second. So I'm going to hit K one more time, and what happened there is time just started advancing at 1 second per second again. Now the J button makes it go backwards, so I'm going to hit the J, hitting it 2 or 3, 4, 5 times or so, and now you can see we're going through the night. It's coming up. I'm making time go backwards. I'm going to hit the K right there. So I hit the K at about 12, 08, 13, 14, 15. You can see time is still advancing at the rate of 1 second per second. Now, if I want to set the time to now, I can use this button down here. And when I use that button right there, that's the same as the keyboard 8. So I'm going to hit 8 on my keyboard, and notice what happens to the time. Boom. I just got reset to the current time that's on my computer. Okay, and it's still advancing at a rate of 1 second per second. So there may be times throughout this course where you need to adjust the date time window, and that's how you do it. Okay, let's go on down. Here's the sky and viewing options window. You will almost never touch this window. There are other tabs here. You can see there's a markings tab, landscapes, sky lore. You can change what the landscape looks like. You can change the constellation patterns, but for us in this class, you want to keep it on the defaults. You probably want this to be stereographic, but I think that is also the default for the projection. And if you are required to change these things, then I will tell you at the time. The next thing is the search window, and when you push that, the search window pops up here, and I can type in anything like, let's say the sun, S-U-N. So I'm going to type in sun, and I'm going to hit enter, and notice what happened. It rose up to the sun, and the sun is now selected. And the fact that the sun is selected means that in the upper left-hand corner, you see there is sun information. Now, it's kind of hard to see that because the sky is blue and the sun is bright, so it's hard to read. So let me show you a couple of more keyboard shortcuts. If I hit A, the A key, the atmosphere is gone. So I just made the atmosphere go off. If I hit A again, the atmosphere comes back on. I'm going to hit it another time, the atmosphere goes off. You notice also I can see the planets Mercury, Venus over by the moon to the right of the sun. But the reason I wanted to do that is because now the information that's in the upper left-hand corner is a lot easier to read at this point. You can also see the sun has this little dancing red marks around it, and that means the sun is selected. And the fact that the sun is selected also in the center of the screen means that if I make time go forward, the program is going to track the sun. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to turn the atmosphere back on, and I'm going to hit L. L makes time go forward, so I hit L a couple of times. There's a third time, and now notice that the sun is heading towards the western horizon. You can see the trees there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit with Control and the down arrow, and you can see the sun is heading towards the western horizon over there. The sun is setting. So I'm going to stop time by hitting the K. Oops, I don't mean stop time, I mean return it to the normal rate by hitting K. And now I'm going to hit it a second time, and that's what stops time. Okay, so you can search for anything, and when you search on it, it puts it in the center of the screen, and then it tracks it the same way that it tracked the sun over time. If you move the screen for whatever reason, if I come over here and do this, well, now it's no longer going to track the sun over time. Instead, it might not track anything, or it might track another object if you have that other object selected. Okay, so keep that in mind. The search window is a very useful window. The next thing is the configuration window. Let's go ahead and click that. Again, this is something you will probably never touch, but let me say one thing about the navigation tab here. Be sure that the navigation tab is set so that the startup date and time is your system date and time. You want to make sure that that is the case. One other thing, you can go through these tabs if you want to. Please don't change them too much, but over here on the plugins tab, if you go down to the time zone option down here, just click that once, and the configure option on the bottom right. Be sure that the time zone is set to use the system settings also. So this way the time zone is your local time zone. Okay, and that way we're all on the same page. You can also change the way the time displays, whether or not you want it to be 12 hours or 24 hours, how you want the year to be displayed, and so forth. So you can change that if you want, but I've got mine set to the default, I believe. Okay, so that takes care of the things over here in the left-hand menu, except for this last one, the Help window. If I click on the Help window, this pops up, and this is just a text window that shows you all of those keyboard shortcuts. So remember what the A key does? The A, atmosphere. So it turns the atmosphere on and off. The B key turns the constellation boundaries on and off, and the C and so forth. Down here, Q. Q turns the cardinal points on and off. Let's see that. I'm going to close the Help window. You see the W? That's because I put it here in the middle. I'm facing west. If I hit the Q key, I'm going to hit it once, the cardinal points disappear. If I hit it again, hit the Q key again. Now west is back up there, so you can tell what direction you're facing. Now typically it's a good idea to leave those on so that you do know what direction's what, but you can turn things on and off. Again, the help window is very useful, and if you will scroll around and read some of the interesting things about this, Stellarium does a lot of really cool stuff, and I think you will discover that if you spend some time there. Okay, now let's look at the bottom window. The bottom menu. Here you can turn constellations on and off. That's the constellation lines. You can see that they pop up there. I'm going to turn the atmosphere off so that you can see the sky a little more clearly, and unselect the sun here. Now you can see those constellation lines a little more clearly, and you can turn those on and off by either hitting this button or the C key. Next is constellation labels, and those are the names of the constellations. Then you can go over here to the art of the constellation, and you can turn those things on and off just by hitting those buttons. Now here is the equatorial grid. So this is a grid that lays out the coordinate system called right ascension and declination. And you may learn about that as time goes on. And you can see all the lines converge over here in the north. They converge at what's called the North Celestial Pole, and there's one star right there that's really close to the North Celestial Pole, and that star has a special position. It's called Polaris, and just because it's so close to the North Celestial Pole. Anyway, that's the equatorial grid. The grid next to it is the azimuthal grid, and you see it's a little different. It doesn't converge over here at the North Celestial Pole. Instead, the lines for it converge directly overhead. So you could imagine this as a great big dome of grid lines that go all the way around you, and right over the top of your head represents 90 degrees straight up. And that's the altitude. So if you were to count the lines here, there's 10, there's 20, 30, 40, 50, and if you were to continue on, you would discover that it converges at 90 degrees. So right there is 90 degrees. That's your altitude. Then the azimuth is measured from due north. So this line, this vertical line right here, represents, I'm going to unselect Polaris, 0 degrees. And then this one is 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, all the way around. So let's see, east would be 90 degrees, south would be 180 degrees, west would be 270 degrees, and then we come all the way back around to 360, which is the same as 0 degrees here. That is called the azimuth. So altitude and azimuth are something that you might be able to use throughout the semester here. Okay, and then we go on. Here's the G key. G does for the ground what the A key did for the atmosphere. It just makes it disappear. I'm going to turn the ground off. There, we're looking through the ground. Now you see this line going across through the end there. That's called the ground fog, and if I hit the F key, the fog goes away. So there I'm looking into space with, now the ground, the program still behaves as if the ground is there, but nevertheless you can see through the ground. So let's turn the ground back on, G, turn the fog back on, F, and you can see there what the G key is for. Okay, so going back to the bottom menu, there's the cardinal points, that's Q. Here's the atmosphere, that's A. Atmosphere is currently off, I'll turn it on. And then there are some other things to turn on, other options like nebulas, planetary labels. If you have a telescope hooked up to this program, you can use some of these, will be more helpful to you. You can center an object. Let's say that you have an object selected. I've got that object selected. See, I'm selecting it through the atmosphere. I'll turn off the atmosphere. But out there somewhere, there's a star, and I can't really see it inside my circle there. But the program tells me that's called 9 Dre. That's 9 Draconis probably is what that is. And it has Hipparchus number 63432. Okay. Well, that doesn't tell me much, except if I wanted to track that, I could hit either the space bar or this button right here, and it'll put it right in the center. And now it's also tracking. So if I advance time that star stays in the center of the screen as time goes forward. Okay, so I'm going to continue on down at the bottom. Here's the night mode. If I hit that, it turns things red. Red is an easier color to look at under the night sky because your eyes are not as sensitive, and if you see red, it doesn't cause your pupils to shut down and get smaller. Here's the full screen mode. If it turns out that you're having problems running it in full screen mode, hit that and it'll go to window mode. I'm currently working in windowed mode myself here. Ocular view, satellite hints. These are some other options. Probably won't use those much. And then there are these familiar controls. There's the J, K, there's the 8 to return to now, and then there is L. And finally, there's this last button here that is the quit button. And that concludes our tour of the controls of Stellarium. So I'm going to stop right here and let you play along with Stellarium a little bit. Just play around with it. You can't really break it. You can always, if you really mess things up, you can always uninstall it and reinstall it. But try to avoid that. Anyway, quit. Hope that was useful to you.